Right as I was about to give up because I could not get the lighting right for this video, I found the lights I needed, and here we are. Here I am recording. So thanks be to God, or should I say, Irayo Ewa. Well, before I tell you all about Avatar 3, I'm going to read to you the predictions my husband and I made for Avatar 3 before we watched it, okay? This will be fun. All right. So the predictions we had were new plug-in spot for their braids, like new location in which they would do that habitually. That was sacred, right? Okay. New critters to ride, and just new critters in general. New technology, some cool technology that was not in the first or second movies. Bad jokes in Act 1 only, because Cameron likes to make bad jokes in Act 1 and then like forget that he's making jokes at all, or forget to like make jokes at all throughout the rest of the movie. Maybe it's because he only thinks he needs to make jokes in Act 1, but I digress. Resentment of Loak by Jake, obviously. This one was a little bit over the top, but Kiri becomes a cult leader or something of that nature. New blue child acquaintance, meaning the kids would find a new friend who was around their age. That was like a new person to us entirely, new character to us entirely. A lot of instances of the words fire and burn said out loud. New group ritual. Thought we were going to see a new group ritual. 10 is the new critter that we're going to see sacred to the volcano people. Like maybe a lizard or something, fire lizard or something. 11, insane end battle. And then 12, limited number of humans. Very limited number of humans is what we predicted. And then 13 was, we thought there would be a conversation at some point about Earth, about our Mother Earth, right? Anyway, y'all might know this about me. I am what they call an avatard because I love Avatar a lot. Huge fan. James Cameron, I would honestly say that probably like somewhere around 1/150th of your profits from the first movie were thanks to me, so you're welcome. But anyway, love Avatar. Love the first one, love the second one, was so pumped for this movie. I'm wondering if I should give you kind of my final thoughts now, because that's what you guys want anyway. I usually have some like final thoughts at the actual end of the video once I've talked about it for an hour. So I love science fiction. Love it. Huge fan. Always going to be a huge fan. I love it in movies. I don't read as many books as I ought to, but also, I love it in books. I would rather watch a crappy science fiction movie than like a crappy rom-com, honestly, or like a crappy like dramedy. Personally, that's just what I'm more into, because even the crappiest of sci-fi movies can oftentimes still have at least one really interesting idea or concept where you're like, oh bruh, cool. So let me just start by saying I saw this before opening day. Again, I don't understand how this works. I don't understand why they say, here we have, this is the opening day, but just kidding. This is the opening day on Friday, but just kidding. We're doing like 10 screenings on Thursday, the day before opening day also. So that doesn't make a ton of sense, but I don't make the rules, do I? So I saw it on Thursday, which may have been a mistake because I was actually so disappointed to be one of maybe 10 to 12 people total in the theater, including me. That was how many people were in the theater on a Thursday night. You know, a lot of people work. They have to work on Friday, so I'm sure a lot of people didn't go for that reason. But the thing is, if the hype is great enough, people don't give a fuck how tired they're going to be on Friday because they're like, I gotta see this movie. I guess that didn't appear to be the case for Avatar 3, at least for me. Anyway, within the first 1 to 3 seconds of this movie started, I was like, this format is off. And I started bothering my husband. I was like, this format is off. They squished it. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. I didn't realize, okay? I did not realize I saw the first Avatar in IMAX. I saw the second Avatar in IMAX. I saw the first Avatar in IMAX multiple times. I saw the second Avatar in IMAX like 3-4 times, okay? This one, I made the mistake of just seeing in a regular fucking theater. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? So, when they do that, because it is filmed in giant format, okay, they have to physically squish the format. So that's why, and I was legitimately annoying my husband because he was like, do you want to go to a different screening? Because it looked like shit, okay? They squish it down from IMAX, and I didn't think I would ever say this about a James Cameron movie, but bruh, when you squish it down, it looks like a BBC special on PBS. Sometimes. Okay? Danielle, stop. Hey, I'm shooting. Please, I gave you your food. You gotta stop. You're being rude. So that was unfortunate. I mean, I guess it really only happened when we got like the giant landscapes of them flying, and I did eventually get used to it, but I was a little bit annoyed from the start. Okay. Oh, I forgot to say for the predictions, right? I was like to my husband, I was like, do you think there's going to be a sex scene? Because Cameron loves doing sex scenes. And my husband was like, with who? Who could possibly have a sex scene? And I was like, some new characters we haven't met yet. I don't know. Get another one that Jake and Neytiri, fucking some other person we haven't seen yet. I don't know. I just thought there would likely be one. We're gonna get back to that in a minute. But my husband was like, no. There wasn't a sex scene technically. But anyway, okay, so first of all, the title of this movie is crap. Avatar 3, Fire and Ash. Would be kind of interesting if Fire and Ash were expounded upon. And when I was like thinking about it, like thinking really hard, like probably overthinking it, I was like, is it called Fire and Ash because like fire means conflict and ash is the aftermath of the conflict? But then I was like, is Cameron thinking about this story that deeply? Doesn't seem like it. Maybe that's what he's going for. I don't know. Anyway, so we jump back in with the same exact characters, and I thought that there would have been a little bit of a time lapse from the end of the first one and the beginning of this third one. Sorry, the end of the second one, beginning of the third one, right? I thought maybe like a year or 2 or 3 would have passed, because didn't Avatar 2 come out in 2023? And here we are, 2025. Here's the third one. So anyway, like almost 0 time had passed. I would say like less than 6 months, probably less than like 3 months had passed when we jump in with the Sullys, I guess they're called. I don't think they really have surnames. Do you want to come here? Is that your problem? Come here, special girl. It's okay. It's okay. So we jumped in real fast with the Sullys, and yes, look, according to my list, of course there was resentment of Loak by Jake, but if there's anyone he should be annoyed with, honestly, it should be Spider, because Spider was the whole reason that Loak and Neteyam went back to the ship, was to go get him, was to go get Spider. So he should have really been mad at Spider. I mean, obviously, Loak did it. I think it was Loak's idea to go back to the ship to get Spider, and unfortunately, Neteyam was killed by a sky person, who Jake should also be mad at, but logic. Who cares about that? No one cares about logic here. Anyway, so there was actually just kind of too much going on here. Like, in all seriousness, like Cameron was trying to pack in 37 different things. It was too much conglomerated. I'm having a hard time even telling you the plot, because I'm like, wait, what the fuck is the plot? Okay. Let me tell you the plot. So, very beginning, everyone's trying to pick up the pieces after, unfortunately, Neteyam was killed and laid to rest in the ocean. And then, but Spider is now, Spider the monkey boy, the human child who has essentially been adopted by Neytiri and Jake, is living with him. And so at the very beginning, he's asleep, and the humans on Pandora have to wear oxygen masks at all time. So, because we can't breathe the air there, right? Our lungs we require too much oxygen, okay? Apparently Pandora is 4 times the size of Earth, and therefore, like, the pressure on humans' lungs is just, like, too much. So all you need is an oxygen mask and you're good to go. I don't know if that makes sense scientifically, but I'm not a science major. Just kidding, I am. But I'm not that kind of science major. But anyway, his oxygen mask starts losing oxygen, and they're like, oh shit, and they're desperately trying to get him another one. He's like asleep and not conscious of what's going on, really. But so they luckily they find him an oxygen mask and everything's fine. Neytiri is having some feelings about Spider, understandably so. Okay, because he should be with his own kind. It is weird for him to be living with the Na'vi, but that's what he very badly, desperately wants to do. So she and Jake have a talk about it. But, like, in all seriousness, isn't it dangerous to be living with Na'vi when you have a limited number of oxygen supplies, a limited number of oxygen masks, and you don't have access to an endless supply? Like, shouldn't you maybe possibly have access to oxygen at all times on this planet as a human? Anyway, well, the thing is that Spider was born on Pandora in, a science base or whatever. And you can't put babies in suspended animation, so he never went back to Earth. He was never put back in Earth because it's not possible to do. And also his mother died, deadbeat mom, literally. And his father also died. Oh my god, another deadbeat dad. But his father is actually Quaritch, because Quaritch's consciousness, you remember the villain from the first one, was uploaded into a Na'vi avatar. I feel like I'm explaining a soap opera. Seriously, I feel like I'm explaining a soap opera when I try to explain this, because it's so complicated, and I don't know that it needs to be this complicated. But anyway, Neytiri and Jake are like, listen, kids and Spider, you got to go back to the base because we don't have enough oxygen for you here. Of course, the kids, being kids, understandably so, are like, no, we love Spider. He can't leave. And so Jake and Neytiri feel bad, and they're like, okay, we'll go with him to drop him off. How about that? And the kids are like, fine. Well, I'm honestly not looking forward to having a teenager, but isn't life challenging just as it is? Anyway, so they're like, okay, we'll make a road trip of it, or we'll make a thing of it, and we'll get Spider back to the base and call it good. By the way, Courage is still fucking after Jake. Like, that's his one goddamn mission that he hasn't been able to fulfill. He wants to obtain Jake and take him back to Earth. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting why that even was. I guess it was because he disobeyed him in the first movie. He abandoned mission and violated his contract. I can't really be too surprised about these things when, like, oh, I don't know, you are able to dispose of your human body through the mere alien technology, which isn't even technology. It's just, I don't know what to call it. What do you freaking call it when you're able to essentially download your consciousness organically onto a Na'vi avatar? What do you call that? I guess we can call it technology, because why not? Anyway, so Courage just freaking has a massive, like, hard-on for capturing Jake, which is borderline kind of absurd, but I digress. So, they go with these giant flying critters. They're like, oh, the wind critters are here. Remember, the Sullys moved to the ocean island fishing folk from the forest to be a way to deter from Courage, but Jake's been there long enough, it wouldn't have been that much of a secret anyway. They're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna take Spider back with these wind traders, and these wind traders are these people who we didn't even freaking see them hardly at all, but these wind traders that fly around, they're like air pirates, basically. They fly around on these airborne flying critters, but they fly slowly. I think Cameron was trying to make them look like blimps, because like they were like, okay, yeah, we'll go with the air traders and drop Jake off, or drop Spider off. Sorry, Danny. And that's not what they end up doing, because they get hijacked. Sorry, I'm just trying to listen to see if my dog is gonna ruin my video or not. I need to learn to ignore them. Anyway, sometimes. Okay, so they're going to drop off Spider, right? That's the objective. And then they're interrupted because their ship gets hijacked by, I think, Courage. I can't remember. But then, they're all in trouble. And, okay, they crash land. No, they got hijacked by the Fire and Ash volcano people, I think. That sounds accurate. I don't fully remember. You guys, it's a 3-hour, 17-minute movie, okay? I'm not going to remember everything. Sorry. Anyway, Courage teams up with these Fire and Ash folk. I'm pretty sure the gal who played the main Fire and Ash leader, I'm pretty sure her name is Una Chaplin. Her character's name is Varang, and she's the one in the trailer and on some of the posters where she has like the black and red face paint on. She's got a really cool like fan headdress on. She looks really cool. What was interesting about the Fire and Ash people was that they weren't good. They were kind of like the Comanches of the Na'vi, if you will. And so she teams up with Courage. She and Courage team up together. I can't remember if they were teamed up by this point or not. It doesn't matter. But anyway, then they all crash land. Luckily, oh my God, wouldn't you know it, all the kids survive. And of course, little Spider didn't think to have his oxygen tanks on him because maybe he's reckless and doesn't care about his life. But he is supposed to be like 16 through 19, and 16 through 19-year-olds do stupid shit like that. So, I mean, there was also like, a giant like crash, so it happens. Anyway, they were like trying to get away from the Fire and Ash folks who were chasing them. And while this was happening, of course, they're almost like, uh, Spider's mask starts running low. And they're like, oh my god, what are we going to do? And Kiri, being Kiri, the oldest daughter, is like, we just have to pray. We have to put him down. Because they can't get back to his oxygen. They have no option. Like, honestly, you may as well, like, lay someone down to die at that point because they had no option. But she was like, okay, let's lay him down and pray. So they laid him down. They all started praying over him. And Awa provided. Because the plants and everything, like, got all up in Spider, in his system. And voila, wouldn't you know it, then he suddenly no longer needed a mask. Amazing. He could breathe the air, which is like the first time that has ever happened with the human being on Pandora, which is very, very interesting. Again, I felt like the reactions there were a little bit off because Spider was just like, oh, I can breathe, cool. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, cool, dude. Also in that scene, that actually really bothered me, like, right before that happened. Because Took, the 10-year-old, she's like this 10-year-old kid. She's the sister, okay? So, luckily I just know all of this off the top of my head. So they had Neteyam. Jake and Neytiri had Neteyam, who unfortunately passed away. And then they had Loak. And then they had Kiri, who is from Grace's avatar. Grace's avatar became pregnant, and then Kiri was the result of that. No one knew how that occurred, but it occurred. And then they had Took, okay? But yeah, so unfortunately Tam passed away, but now they also kind of have Spider, okay? Anyway, they crash landed, and Took was like crying and sad, and she was like, I want to go home, I'm hungry. That's not something a 10-year-old would say in this, like, scenario. Cameron, I know you have kids. Maybe you, like, don't recall them having been 10, but, like, a 10-year-old who's not special needs would know that if you just, like, crash landed a giant ship into the middle of a random forest, like, ain't the time to be like, I'm hungry and I want to go home. I will also add that there were so many lines in this movie that were verbatim from the second movie and the first movie. Verbatim. Verbatim, meaning the exact same. Okay? So that was also said. She also said, she had a crying scene where she said, I want to go home in the second movie. Shouldn't have been put in the... She could have just been like, I'm scared. Normal. Super normal. Anyway. Okay. So yeah, then, but my point is, this is kind of, I would argue, but hard to say because Cameron loves doing practically 4-hour-long movies. I would argue Spider getting the ability to breathe in the movie was like first act turning point into act 2. I feel like that was like really like that. I feel like that should have been the inciting incident. Maybe it was. It's harder to tell because Cameron's movies are so long. But that should have been the main focus. It kind of was, but again, there was so much fucking going on. Anyway, so basically the rest of the movie is Jake and Spider and Neytiri and everyone trying to get the fuck away from Korach and trying to get away from the establishment. I forget the name of the corporation that is colonizing Pandora. Are they called U-Corp? U-Corp? I don't remember. You guys, something that pissed me off so much about this movie was 2 things. I just looked at my notes. This is actually not what I was going to say before. The Australian guy who killed the whales in the second movie was in this movie alive. What the fuck? Why would you... But again, I feel like I'm describing a soap opera because Cameron's like, oh, that villain died. Just kidding. No, he didn't. Here he is in the sequel. Here he is in the threequel. Like, pissing me off. There was almost zero Na'vi in this movie. Like, spoken Na'vi. Almost zero. Like, at this rate, Cameron just should have put in zero. I'm telling you, there were a grand total of 2 lines in Na'vi. Okay? 2. Which pissed me off so much. Because the whole reason we fucking like this movie, Cameron, is it has this really cool fictional language that you went all the trouble of creating. You went with all the trouble of creating, so why not, I don't know, put it in your movies? Well, it was not explained why the fuck Varang could speak English. Because if they were this, like, offshoot, like, totally, is the word I'm trying to say clandestine? Just isolated tribe, right? Why would she know English? Okay, anyway, I have a suggestion for a scene that could have been in English. There was what was attempted to be a dramatic moment. Maybe not attempted to be a dramatic moment. What could have been a dramatic moment when Loak gave Neytiri her bow, which she lost. But he found it. He secretly found it. And then he fixed it and gave it to her. Okay, so what we could have had there was Tsatnuk waiting steli tan, which is, Mommy, Mother, I'm giving you this from Granddad. Okay, and then Neytiri could have said Irayo Matan, which is thank you, my son, and then we would have had 4 lines in Na'vi instead of 2. So that would have been cool, but there are like so many feelings involved with these movies, and I understand that, and I also know that Cameron shot the scenes for this movie simultaneously with the second movie, which is understandable because that's just way faster and way easier to do. I felt like they didn't fully like mesh super excellently. I mean, I'm not that they didn't mesh super excellently. I felt like well, I do. I do feel that way. I didn't mean to say that way, but I said it that way. And it's true. Like, compared to the other 2 movies, this one is kind of a mess, in my opinion. Okay? I'm sad to say this. I really am. This is very unfortunate, but I told you I saw the first movie a cajillion times in the theater. Okay? I even saw it when they brought it back for a double theatrical release 6 months after the first theatrical release. And then I saw the second one a bunch of times. I saw that one 4 or 5 times in 2 different states, not both. I'm saying I saw it 4 or 5 times in 2 different ones. Okay, total. I was so annoyed by the squished format. I was like, fuck. Am I gonna have to, like, do I have to go watch this in IMAX now? The answer is I'm not going to. I'm not gonna see this another time because it wasn't that good, in my opinion. It was just all right. So for the average moviegoer who's cool with seeing an Avatar movie, I think they'll probably be happy with this. But for the Avatards like me, this was lackluster, lukewarm at best. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to say here. Okay. didn't like. I honestly, I'm over Jake at this point. He's so annoying. I thought he was so rude and so obnoxious towards his kids, which is annoying AF. I don't know why he was just being a dick like all the time. Like he should have continued growing from the first movie. I hate hearing Loak call him sir. Like, what in the fuck is wrong with you, Cameron? Why would you have a child call his father sir? That's weird. I was gonna say, is Cameron from the South? Because some country folk in the South still do that bullshit, but he is definitely not from the South. He is from Canada. Anyway, yeah, he was like, I'm a Marine at one point, and at another point he was like, I'm still human, which I thought was interesting. Anyway, let's see what we got on the why are you doing this to me? I fed you. On the list. Okay, so we didn't get a new plug-in spot. We didn't get new critters to ride. We only saw like a really quick glimpse of those flying airborne animals that were holding the flammable balloons. And then we saw some really, really cute like fish otters, but those were like really quick glances. I wouldn't really consider that a new animal. Didn't see any new tech really at all. Bad jokes, obviously. Bad jokes galore. You know, a lot of these jokes were so bad. You couldn't even tell they were jokes, but I don't think anyone laughed. Yeah, I don't think they did. Anyway, but they were there, clearly. Resentment of Loak by Jake. Yep, almost the whole time. And then when they kind of okay, here's the thing, is that Cameron builds up to these moments. He builds up to the dramatic thing, and then once it's actually there, it's kind of like just like moving on. It's like so minuscule. It's so like just kind of, what's the word I want to use here? I already said lackluster. It's just so like it's not much of a resolution, is what I mean. Like it kind of is, but like not really. Like it's not heartfelt. There we go. It's not heartfelt. It's just like, oh, here's that scene we built up to anyway. Okay. Kiri didn't become a cult leader, but she did kind of increase her abilities, which was cool. There was no new blue child acquaintance. They actually didn't say the words fire and burn very often. That was kind of surprising. There was no new group ritual that we saw. Yeah, no. Didn't see there was no critter with the volcano people. They didn't have any critters. Obviously we had an insane end battle. We didn't see any humans talk about Earth. I really thought we would. They kind of like barely like alluded to it, but not really. Yeah, no. Anyway, so something I saw in a clip and an interview with James Stewart was he said that he thinks that movies are really a series of moments, and that moments are really important, and that if you can get a big enough collection of moments, that's what really makes a good movie. And fam, that is definitely true of Titanic, one of my favorite movies ever. Definitely true of the first Avatar. I would even go so far as to say it's absolutely true of the second Avatar. Third Avatar, not so much. We really didn't get any good moments. trying to think. That's just my opinion, though. Okay, there nothing really like stuck with me for Avatar 3 is what I mean to say. I hope you've enjoyed seeing Dani. She wanted to make an appearance. I guess that's why she was making a fuss. I'm trying to think of it. I feel like there were other things I really badly wanted to say. And I've forgotten to say them, but I will say Hitoa, and I will say, I remember one of the things I was going to say. I think that we almost did actually get nearly, okay, get a sex scene with Quaritch and Varang. I feel like they were like this close to getting there, which like would have been obnoxious. But yeah. Okay, I will. Let me not just shit on this completely because it wasn't all bad. All right, it had some good aspects to it. I enjoyed the fact that we had a Na'vi tribe of people who were not all good. The leader gal in it, she just wanted power. She didn't care if that meant killing other Na'vi people. She didn't care if that meant destroying nature. She and Quaritch did they were vibing very well. And obviously he wants power, right? He wants to obtain Jake and do whatever it is he needs to do. So I thought that was really interesting. I think that Spider... Okay, maybe there was one really good scene with Spider and Jake and Neytiri when they were in the forest. And if you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But not a lot of moments there. So that was interesting. Then we had the, not so loving tribe. I think Spider is the most interesting character out of everyone in this whole franchise. I really do. I think he's the most interesting one. And then I was thinking about, okay, to be fair though, like, even though I didn't love this movie as much as I loved Avatar and Avatar 2, I've been thinking about it a fair amount. I really have. It has maybe, I've been thinking about, what I didn't like what I did like. It wasn't just like, oh, that was good, whatever. There were really good aspects to it, and I do love the franchise, okay? Just because you have 1 out of 3 that's bad doesn't, that's not the worst track record, right? That's like a 66% success rate, so good job, Cameron. One thing I was thinking about is they make it pretty obvious in this movie that Kiri and Spider are gonna get together, and they're more than likely gonna crossbreed. Other times when I've said that, I've said inbreed. That's not what I mean to say. They're gonna crossbreed. And Cameron, we do not want to see, no one wants to see a Spider and Kiri sex scene. Okay? Please don't include that, my guy. Stani Panisi. Don't want to see it. Okay? So now that I've said my 3 things in Na'vi, this video actually has officially more Na'vi than Avatar 3. Putting that out there. I think I've said everything I need to say. And if I think of anything else, I guess I will make another video. Matone win. Maktuko.